Hey, Decathlon Gamer, welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 25. I don't get why it's 25, but anyway, it's episode number 22. Spring training. Still haven't started the season, but again, off season is just where all the action's at. Portland Pilots, no longer a zero point zero on that wins above replacement gained. It's a positive number. It's a healthy positive number now, 3.9. We're up to fifth overall in WAR gained. Things are good. And I made a move. Demands had been in the teens for a salary. Reyes was somebody who I really liked, was targeting, didn't want to spend that kind of money, and didn't want to give up the third round pick that would be required as compensation. But his demands came down. It was only a third round pick. I went ahead and conceded. This is how you get better. You have to make moves. You have to spend. 8.3 million is where we ended up at second and final year of the deal. Next year will be 10 million flat. Quite a bit less than the 11 to 13 range that he was looking at a couple months back. Very solid pickup. Good second baseman. Could play corners in the outfield. 75 contact, 80 avoid Ks. Like, big time player in terms of this is somebody who could hit somewhere around 300. We haven't had somebody hit over 260 in a long time. There's a lot of extra on base potential, especially with the avoid Ks. There's a lot. There is a lot here. So he alone has added a couple wins above replacement for us and is a big time signing. And we had that cash. If we don't spend it, we're not going forward. We might be pinching pennies, but we have got to increase value at times, and this is a big addition. With the addition of Arraez, I now have 39 spring training. We only have one spot left on our secondary roster, so it's already time to start thinking about some of the players that are not going to feature in the regular 26 in that 13. Not all of them are going to go right back down to AAA. For one thing, there's players down to AAA that are ready to come up. Additional players. There's players that I need to move on from at the AAA level. I mean, especially when we start looking at age. There's a lot of older players in AAA that have been there for 3+ years. That's still not even on the secondary roster, but then we also have a group on the secondary roster. So I've already targeted 6 players that I definitely think it's time to try to move on from. Most of them were AAA guys. A couple maybes for the right move. And then there's going to be the handful of older AAA guys, like pretty much anybody 29 and older. In the case of McCann, 1.5 star catcher, 28 and older. Waldachuk, we might hang on to a little bit longer. So I'm going to enter or go through this spring training with a slightly different vision in mind. We have a lot of close to Major League ready or lower Major League talent that we now want to flip. This is kind of your phase C. This is the best prospects or the here and now players make us better at positions. But with the addition of Arraez, fan interest increases noticeably. How much? Well, I don't know about noticeably, but a 43 is a hell of a lot better than we used to be. Even with his additional payroll, we only moved up one spot from 29th to 28th in terms of player payroll. We still have a little bit of money available and plenty for extensions. Edgar Ramos was one of our high potential guys as he was young, but as he's getting a little bit older, they seem to be reining in the potential, but he still very much has that major league potential. Ramos had a very good, got him as an international free agent signing, by the way, last year. So this was somebody we brought in. He was supposed to be that 5-star guy a year ago. He hit 165 and 149 in rookie ball. Did not have a good performance, but he is developing, and his plate discipline program was outstanding. Big improvement for him. Arturo Iniguez did not improve in his program, but we were successful in all 3 of the others. Contact for Onofre, Cerna, control, and Razo, gap power. 3 out of 5 regular success, 1 outstanding success, and no improvement in just one of them. That is a fantastic ratio, especially when a few of these were harder programs. There's that gap power potential. Wow, 80 on that, 35 already now, starting to step up, still just 17. Looking at very, very high potential. At the international complex, we're definitely going to be bringing him in this year. Cerna, oof. Well, that's rough. He's dropped all the way to 2-star potential. He had a successful program. Look at that good stuff. Couple really good pitches. And Onifray. So a lot of these were our big time prospects, and as they've gotten that little bit older, they get reined in, and it's a lot lower than what it was. No trades have been able to occur just yet. I've got some work to do to try to find partners for those. But in terms of the internal movement, I've started the shuffle. Definitely not done with it at this point, and there will be trades. I will manage to get some trades in, and that will, of course, change things. And so I'm just kind of getting an initial feel for it. At the moment, AAA is at 23, but with 13 coming down or getting traded out, I would imagine we're probably going to have at least 8 sent down, which will put us above 30. We're at 30 for AA. We're at 26 for high A right now, so there's definitely room for a few more guys to come up. We're at 31 for regular A, and most of that's just a lack of players that are ready to play that high A ball. Yeah, remember, we made this total overhaul. We got much, much younger, lots of prospects with potential, and some of them have already been found out to not have great potential. But like a 29-year-old, he's been in the system a while. Turns out he's not going anywhere, right? I'm down to 41 for the rookie league, which is still a lot, but that's not a crazy number. 65 for the Dominican rookie league, which is a ton, but I cleared out a lot of space for the international complex. And then there's more guys that I want to get in this season, but I don't want them coming in really here. I'm probably going to want some of them playing regular A ball to get some real experience, even if it's difficult for them. The problem is if it's too tough, they tend to fail a bit more, and that can be problematic. So getting them into something like the rookie league, where you can see it's a bit more transitional, there's not a lot of quality. This Andrew Cackle is the one guy who's probably way too good for the level. I've started shopping out players, and I think I've got a decent one coming back this direction. So Christopher Morrill is available. He's with the Cubs. He's been a yo-yo guy between the major leagues and AAA. He goes and dominates AAA, but at the major league level, he's journeyman backup style. But he's got quality, especially compared to us. Generally what we have at third base, at least at the moment, is a weakness position. He's making $1.8 million this year. He is going to have arbitration and is looking to make $3.5 for next year. So that, I think, is the reason why the Cubs are willing to let him go, because he's a backup. They don't want to pay $3.5 million for a backup in the coming years, so they want to get something now before that gets higher. But I think he can definitely get more time for us and stay as a major leaguer. He's got speed, he's got power, which is something we lack horribly, and he can play a whole lot of positions. Okay, but I think the biggest reason to go for Christopher Morrill is it's AAA, son of legend Kevin Biggio, and then Lugbauer, who's our now too old and not good defensively reserve catcher who's stored away in AAA. This is going to free up a couple spots on our 40-man, replace it with one, so it'll free up one spot, but I think this is a good deal for us. As we're going to enter this third season, wins are going to start to matter at least a little bit. I think we are getting better and getting to that point to be more competitive. So let's go ahead and take a look at team rankings position by position, both in starters and the top prospect, and then the overall ranking for that position. So it begins with catchers. Langoliers is 20th best at the position, where our top prospect is the weakest, bringing us down to 27th. At first base, Geloff, for the moment, has shifted from third base to first. So he's gone from second in the first year to third base in year 2. Now, currently slated to play first this year. He's 21st best. David McCabe is 13th, giving us an average rating of 22nd. At second base, Arias. It's a middle of the road kind of guy. That's what he is. He's not much better, but for us, that's still progress. 14th best for him. And new signing Lopez is the weakest at 30th. 24th overall ranking. As much as we are progressing, we're still not eclipsing much when it comes to everybody else. For third base, Brett Harris is the guy at the moment. Geloff will be back over there soon enough, especially as we start dropping AAA guys back on down off the spring training roster. Mil Morales is tied for 29th, leaving us damn near the bottom. Shortstop, I've looked to try to move him on with what he's making, and now into his 30s. There's just not enough people interested. So the big thing is going to be whether I'm interested in hanging on to him. I would actually think he might make less than what he's making now, in which case he could turn back into a positive for us. But at 11 million, he's not great. He's not worth 11 million, but he is 18th best at the position. And Pavone, who we just promoted, 25th best, 19th overall. Newman Rojas is 24th best at left field. Hurtado is 13th best, 25 overall. That's a better spot for us. Center field. Denzel Clark is 11th best. Currently, he is the best one for us in terms of comparison to everybody else. And Edgar Ramos, number 1, bringing us up to 9th. Wow. In right, Ruiz is tied for 22nd. Jose Rodriguez is 22nd. I think I say 23rd. You can see it's very heavily weighted towards your current and much less so towards your top prospect. And they're valued a lot less. Makes a bigger difference to your team to have somebody here and now. Starting pitchers. Mason Miller, 28th. Down near the bottom of the league. Estes is our best, and he's the worst. So we are the worst in starting pitchers, yet that has not been a major weakness for us. For relievers, Angel Felipe, 25th. And Musgrove, 11th, 24th overall. Closers, Felipe, 29th. Torres, 28th. Yeah. They don't think much of our squad. Into March and that first of the year update. Tarnock getting a little bit worse. Arraez. Oh, come on, man. Brett Harris also dropping off. Herberto Hernandez, current potential contact rating has improved to a 50. That's a win for us. That's something. Though power drops, that's just potential, though. Edgar Ramos, top prospect. Potential contact drops to a 65. Current eye rating has improved, though. Gap rating drops. And that potential rating that was just 5 stars is suddenly 2.5. Aniguez. We just had a big successful program for him, and he drops. Cerna, the huge signing, potential stuff, is already down to a 70. That was last year's signing, by the way. Onofre, all of these guys succeed in their programs, and their potential drops. Part of it's an age thing. That is terrible news. I mean, there's nothing good in all of this. Hernandez, mixed bag. Almost all negatives. Of course, we already know, we've already discovered, right? You get those young prospects, they're going to narrow that window. And almost none of them are going to end up being the 5-star guy. There's a lot of 5 stars that become a lot of just, hey, serviceable major leaguers. And the gap from a 2.5 star to a 5 star isn't that big. Gap from a 2.5 star to a 1.5 star seems to be a much larger gulf in terms of capability. But exceptional talents, not looking good for us on that front. Just about the end of preseason, we're 4th in that wins above replacement gained rankings, looking really good in that part. What they like about it is the additions of Jose Suarez and Arraez and then Pena. Those are the 3 primaries. All 3 free agency signings. What we've lost, Bryce Wilson, Austin Meadows, big money savers. Rengifo, big money saver. And Wagner, who was making a little bit and really just wasn't offering much to us, especially terrible defense. We've let a lot of guys go. 31 players out. Big changes on that part. But with just 8 in, we've definitely narrowed things down, but it's mostly positive wins above replacement that we have added. Approaching that opening day, I'm narrowing that roster down. It's down to 32 now. It's definitely still too much in the pitching department. Scouting reports are kind of constantly fluctuating. I had everybody on very high just a few days ago. You can see, pitching staff's 2.5 stars and above for the entire group. As for throwing, we've got a little bit more in terms of lefties here. We've got 4 of them now. You probably don't want to lose Mueller, Basso, Newman, Suarez, and JP Sears. Suarez just injured. That's our new signing, too. So that's not looking too good on that as they're narrowing it down for opening day. But I'm at 16. If I'm going to get that down to 26, I've got to get it down to either 13 or 14. So I've got at least 2 guys to pick through and send down. The only one that I have to keep is Dylan Coleman, who's got really good stuff. Yeah, he's had a pretty good spring training, 3.0 ERA. We'll definitely hang on to him. Whoa, Suarez, that injury is going to see him out for 5 months. First guy on the injured list, and he is going to miss most of the season. It's a torn labrum. That's a big loss. That does thin things down a little bit. I had already just moved somebody else too. So I'm down to 14 in the pitching staff. And as for the lineups here, I'm down to 16. New addition, CJ Abrams is somebody that I definitely want to get in. But, maybe he's AAA for now. He's only 25. He is making $2.2 million, but maybe we put him in AAA for this year as he's just not quite ready. Infield is now set. It's the outfield that needs the changes. Definitely Kazar. Kazar is the first one going down. Probably an easy choice anyway. Let's see, what has he done this spring training? 093? Yeah. Easy choice. Now, Robles is still on the minor league contract and is a pretty easy selection otherwise. Herberto Hernandez might be somebody now that we did the Rule 5 pickup and he served his year. He's making that league minimum, but we could pretty easily send him down now if he's not good enough. I think Rojas might be stronger, Armenteros might be stronger, but it's definitely going to probably come down to those 3 players with Robles. Robles is pretty decent. He did spend all of last year in AAA after we signed him as a free agent with some major league experience. But he's also struggling this spring training, so I think Robles has made himself a pretty easy player to send down. And all of a sudden I'm looking at 13, which would be enough. But with 6 outfielders, you don't necessarily need 6 outfielders. Reyes is a second baseman, though, right? We were planning on playing him at left, which I think Rojas might be a better option there. But apparently we like Urias. Well, 13 is the magic number, and we're at just 27 now. So we just about have our opening day roster. Prediction for this year was 72 wins. We've gotten a little bit stronger since that time, but I don't think that necessarily has increased that number. Our injury in particular is going to be a troubling one. What's going to change about the lineup here? Who moves in? And especially as I've let a couple guys go down to AAA, I'm very curious where we're going to kind of filter in. But the waiver wire, always a possibility. Always a chance to make improvements. And it's opening day. Stay respectable is the goal for the season. Well, in 2 years, we have flipped our minor league system from the bottom of the barrel. We weren't 30th out of 30, but we were 28th for the majority. It's now 11th. It is now 11th. We have some talent. Sarabia, Hurtado, a lot of guys at lower levels right now, but really excited by those changes to come. We're spending a lot more on player development. I've got some better coaches in. We'll see if it makes the difference here in the near future. Alvaro Sarabia. His rank is 3rd. Looks like we found the real deal with him. At least everybody thinks he's going to be the real deal. That was our max contract international signing from this year, so he appears to be a good one, and he is the primary thing that has seen us fly up the rankings. But we went from 3 guys on the list to 6. Other additions: Estes has moved up the list on his own. He was already in the system. But Ramirez, Ramos, Iniguez, Rodriguez. Rodriguez was last year's international signing. So was Iniguez. Those are 2 guys that I brought in last year as cheaper signings, as was Ramos. So all 3 of those players. So our top 4 guys were all international signings. I'm a little surprised that we haven't been able to get more out of the trades, but this is good. This is good. By the way, to be eligible as a prospect, must not have more than 75 days of Major League service. And that's why we lost one guy in particular off our list pretty quick. But this is big. This is progress, heading in the right direction. But a long ways to go yet, right? The competitive squad. We saw our rankings. A lot of our rankings, the guys are like dead last positionally. We're very close to it, very near the bottom of the league, and we got a few average players, and that's it. No standouts, no stars. Got a long ways to go yet to take what we're now translating into a pretty solid farm system with lots of young talent coming up into some major league level talent. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.